Totally Football Show. Today, curtains for the Champions League group stage games. After 31 years, we salute the final set of midweek matches with Milan, Man U, PSG staring at the exit. Plus, Bundesliga, Bayern's blowout of Frankfurt. That is a hollow-back goal. Liga, big win at Barcelona, leaves Girona all alone. France, Lacazette, not finished yet for Lyon, and about 500 million things from Serie A. All of that and more in this Totally Football Show. All right, hello there, listener and indeed viewer. If you're joining us on our YouTube channel at the Totally Football Show, it is for us Monday the 11th of December. As I'm joined by James Horncastle.
Hello.
Alvaro Romeo.
Hola.
Raphael Honigstein. And punctuality's Julien Laurent.
Bonjour. Sorry, I was a little bit late. Not much, and then one of the cameras was not working anywhere for YouTube. So
apologise to people on the YouTube live feed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's my bad. Sorry. Sorry.
It's a big week, Jules.
It is a big week.
Big week with, as I mentioned, the last group stage ever. Gonna miss this place.
I know. It might come back at some point
Do you
later,
think?
as a trend in 25 years' time.
Wow. It does feel strange, doesn't it? Have you got any special memories, Rapha, of the group stage? So many golden matches over there.
Goals.
Yeah, there's been lots of goals.
We've done a piece about this on the
What?
Athletic, It comes out when this probably comes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the conclusion? Were there any special games?
Yeah, there was the Dynamo Kiev away against Barcelona when Sheva scored.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With Van Gaal as a manager.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was at the
With,
Liverpool Olympiacos game in 2005
Oh, yeah?
that they had
the
to
Gerrard
win.
one.
Yeah, the Gerrard shot on the edge of the box
Boom.
to make it 3-1.
Take a bow.
And Florent Sinama-Pongolle, I think, also scored in that game, if
Really?
I remember well. Yeah. And then obviously that season they went on to win the Champions League, as Rino Gattuso mentioned last night after the Marseille game.
Did he?
He mentioned that defeat, in the final against Liverpool.
Excellent. Alvaro?
I was trying to think about moments that were at least special for me. I think Deportivo de La Coruña beating Manchester United. At Old Trafford. Because the game against Milan was in the quarterfinals, I believe.
Yeah.
But that game at Old Trafford, with Diego Tristan just playing with Manchester United defenders. I mean, that's something that stayed in my memory, yeah.
I'd probably go with Partizan Belgrade, 2010.
Yeah.
2011. They
That was great.
yeah, it was. They only scored 2 goals, both against Arsenal, as it turned out. Yeah, wasn't the
Bayern-
greatest campaign.
They've stayed in your mind so much that you mention them every year, even if they're not
That's
really
right.
in the
They've been in the
competition
competition every year since. For me.
Bayern Roma 7-1.
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Ashley Cole.
That was a happy evening
Yeah.
for
I think
some.
that was the same season, actually. Wasn't it? 2010, 11? Maybe. Anyway.
No,
No,
it's
with
later.
Pep already.
Oh, I'm thinking that was the Man United year, I think.
That was a
that was a knockout stages.
All right.
Only group stage games allowed.
That was one of the best team performances I've ever seen by a team from Bayern that night.
There you go. Maybe you'll see another this weekend. This midweek, as Bayern take to the field at Old Trafford. A wounded Bayern. An embattled and bitter Bayern. We'll see. Anyway, we'll talk about that game in a second or two, but let's do a roundup moment of the weeks. Just moments, if you will, rather than weeks of the weeks. Jules, what have you got?
I've got Alexandre Lacazette
Ah,
on Sunday afternoon, who, after scoring his second goal of his hat-trick, tried a knee slide. And you know how much we love Alexandre Lacazette on this show. He's one of ours, obviously, even if he's not from Paris. And the knee slide was a knee stop even, which still is great because he scored a hat-trick and at the right time to save his team and win another game, only the second one this season. But yeah, it's always funny when someone tries a knee slide and just the grass is not sliding enough. Really.
did he faceplant?
He faceplanted massively. He didn't care, as he said to me after, but it's still funny.
Did he
So
speak to you afterwards, Jules?
Yeah, we exchanged a few messages, we
nice.
always do. He's still my guy.
All right.
I miss him. But I'm glad he scored 3, that Lyon won finally. And hopefully, Stonewise will just, bring something to this club that the second half of the season will be better.
Yeah. Okay, there are 3 points from safety, but still
Yeah.
very much bottom of the table. Alvaro, what was your moment of the weekend?
Girona beating
yeah.
Barcelona at Camp Nou. I know that we'll talk about it a little bit more
I haven't
later.
got it in the schedule, but go ahead.
Okay.
It's your chance now.
It's my shot now. I've got 30 seconds just to put this in. They were phenomenal, and I'm sure that when Girona closes or anyone closes the door of that locker room, they talk about the title race. Del Figlieli, their president, funny name probably in English, he says that they are not in the title race. Michel doesn't want to talk about that. But when they close that locker room, I'm pretty sure that nobody in Girona is discarding fighting for it. Because they can have a chance. I'm telling you. I mean, 41 points after 16 games. They are on course to get 50, maybe, if they win the last 3. And the performance at Camp Nou was very impressive.
Nice.
Alvaro, are they doing that shtick that a lot of kind of revelation teams do, which is our first objective is to get to 40 points?
Yeah.
To stay up.
Yeah.
Michel said it even after the game. He said, "Now we're safe."
I heard that yesterday.
Right.
I heard that yesterday again. But, at the end of the day, that's the narrative they want to push. But the reality is that they are very good.
Very good. Yeah. All right, 4-2 winners in Barcelona at the weekend. Their first ever victory over the other Catalan giants.
Yeah.
James, Serie A.
Well, can we go to Serie B?
Let's.
Because there was a great game at the weekend between Palermo and Parma at the Tardini. And the goals in this game are stunning. So there's one from Matteo Brunori, which is like Totti's goal for Roma against Inter. The classic kind of cucchiaio lob, the best cucchiaio. He scores another goal, which I think ordinarily would be one of the goals of the weekend. And Palermo were 3-1 up. And Palermo, who are owned by CFG, Girona's owners, they've been on a terrible run of form. Only 1 win in 8. And it looked like they were going to go and beat the league leaders away from home. And certainly looked that way 5 minutes from time when they went 3-1 up. But no, Parma scored twice in stoppage time and celebrated as though they had won the Champions League, let alone Serie B, to go back to the top of the second division. And yeah, kind of just great. It felt like a Serie A fixture in Serie B. And I'm sure that we'll see at least one of those teams in the top flight next year.
We should bring in a Serie B segment alongside Serie A. I
don't think this will be my last bit, if you like, from Serie B in today's show. But we'll get to that when we talk more about it.
Okay, very nice. Rapha, moment of the weekend.
No time for B bits here.
B-side.
B-sides.
Nice.
Werder Bremen against Augsburg.
That's a B-side.
Yeah, same than usual.
65th minute.
Yeah.
Two Augsburg players think there's a substitution. They're coming over, but the referee hadn't blown the whistle. The game continues, and they're both sort of on the right-hand side, their left-hand side, and there's no one there. So Bremen just continue to play, and they score a goal.
No way.
The second goal, Muffin Duksch. Very good.
It's Champions League we start.
Okay.
We'll do a roundup of Champions League with some heavy Bundesliga involvement next. All right, Champions League, Tuesday. Man United Bayern is one of the key games. We'll talk about some of the others in a second or two, but this weekend, what a result for Frankfurt against Bayern, beating them 5-1. Bayern showing just how fallible they can be. Is that good news for United, Rapha, or does this mean they'll be extra motivated when they visit Old Trafford?
I think it's bad news for United because Bayern would have gone to this game thinking, shall we rest a few players? We've got nothing to play for. Big game against Stuttgart on Sunday. Stuttgart in fantastic form. Now they have to save face. Now they have to show reaction. Now they have to really turn up. And I think Tuchel's going to play his strongest team. They're going to look for a real sort of resilient vibe and showing all the critics that this result is not indicative of their true performance levels. I mean, people have gone, as you'd expect, way overboard, in my view. There was a piece
Paging Hansi Flick.
There was not yet. There was a column in Bild where they said you're watching the sorry disintegration of a great team.
Why did they fall apart so spectacularly? I saw various suggestions about the fact that they didn't play last week or last weekend because of the snow. The fact that Frankfurt had changed their defensive formation and it befuddled them.
No, they hadn't.
Oh, they hadn't.
They thought they had, and Tuchel was saying, "Oh, they're playing differently now, so get ready for this." And then they didn't, and he was very self-critical, very interesting in his statements. He said, "Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have just continued to talk to them about focusing, about aggression, about getting ready for the game. Instead, I gave them these tactical instructions late on. Maybe it was the wrong idea." He also sort of came close to saying maybe playing Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting as a second striker wasn't a great idea. He had a terrible game, but he was not the only one.
Manuel Neuer.
Manuel Neuer didn't look good. The whole back four
defensively,
were shambles. The midfield were pretty bad as well. And Tuchel is a big fan of XG because afterwards he said, when you look at the XG, Frankfurt had 1.5 and they scored 5 goals. So either they've been incredibly lucky or incredibly efficient, or, and that was his explanation, which I thought was really interesting, that the chances actually weren't that great, but we didn't defend them properly. And he made the point that for all 5 goals, Bayern had people close to the person with the ball. They were always outnumbering the Frankfurt forwards, but they were always too slow or in the wrong position or not alert to the danger. And Frankfurt was just much sharper, pressed Bayern really high and took full advantage. Now, I think there's a couple of things that have been a theme for this Bayern team that we've talked about on this pod. They have a problem playing out from the back when they get pressed high. The pressing resistance isn't that great. That's one of the reasons why Tuchel wanted a kind of Palinha type figure as a holding 6 who can pick up the ball on the turn and then start the attack. Second, the lack of balance that they continue to have with Goretzka and Kimmich, both thinking very offensively, both trying to be number 8s rather than a number 6. And finally, those sort of defensive lapses that haven't happened for the first time, but of course in a much more exacerbated level, which explains the scoreline. But I've looked back at Tuchel's results, and he's never lost 2 games in a row at Bayern. Even his predecessors, Flick and Heinkes, only lost on 1 occasion 2 games in a row. So it just doesn't happen very often with this Bayern team, despite all its flaws and problems. And I don't think they will lose at Old Trafford either.
Raph, what was the reaction of these so-called experts, Lothar Matthäus and Didi Hamann? Did they, because they've been critical of him before, and Tuchel obviously didn't take kindly to that. Was there any kind of blowback this time where they're like, see, we're right? Or
there was a bit of that. Didi was doing the game for Sky, and he said, well, we've seen all these problems before, and I'm talking about the same thing again and again. I don't exactly know what Lothar said. He did go on there on Sunday, but I didn't see that. But they weren't, I think, so much critical of Tuchel. The backlash was more towards the players playing so badly because all these individual mistakes, and when you substitute your fullbacks both at half time. I mean, and they were both deserved substitutions. I think it goes beyond anything that the manager might have done.
Man United have to win this game and hope that the other match, Copenhagen against Galatasaray, ends in a draw. It's a pretty specific set of results.
It's good that United are in good form.
Oops.
Which humiliation was worse, Bayern's or United this weekend?
I'd say United getting beat at home.
Frankfurt
are a half-decent side. They're not in great form at the moment, but they won the Europa League last year. They nearly got into the European play. Well, I mean, they got into the Conference League, but they had a chance of getting back into the Champions League last year. So they're an okay side, but still 5-1.
Yeah, United are more shambles for sure.
Who's going
they've
through?
been a shambles. At least Bayern had good games this season. Even if it's not perfect, United have been pretty bad.
They had Chelsea.
I mean, that was
the
only one, because against Bournemouth, I think that Iraola did something which is quite simple. Basically, he closed the whole central channel, and Manchester United had to send the ball to the flanks, and all the crosses went into Neto's hands, or otherwise Tabarni and Senesi were clearing it easily. I cannot recall Manchester United creating chances against Bournemouth, really.
Who's going through, Alvaro?
Copenhagen.
You think?
I think so, yeah.
They're hosting
I love the way
Galatasaray.
they are playing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
COP24.
Boom. Raph?
I think I'm going to go with Gala.
Yeah, me too.
Really? Nobody thinks Man United. Are Man United going to make third even? Europa League football?
Thing is, they depend on Copenhagen and Galatasaray have to draw.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Manchester United won't go through.
But
to the last 16.
No, they won't. But they could still make the Europa League if they get the win.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, elsewhere on Tuesday, find out by joining us on the Goal Show, TNT and Discovery Plus. 7:30.
An excellent show on TNT. I read in one of the
That's
English
true.
newspaper. Lovely
The
piece.
excellent Guardian.
Yeah,
Racing
exactly.
it last thing. Yeah. Tuesday, Arsenal face PSV, while Lens and Sevilla will face off for third place in that group. You've got Napoli against Braga. Qualification still open between those two teams, but Napoli can afford to lose as long as it's not by 2 goals.
Mm-hmm.
The other game in that group will see Union, who got a win at the weekend for the first time since August, take on Real Madrid.
It's a Hanukkah miracle.
Napoli have had 4 games underwater so far. How many have they lost?
3, but then again, they've lost to Real Madrid, Juventus, and Atalanta.
And Inter.
Oh, and Inter, sorry.
Inter, yeah.
They beat Atalanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know.
Tough set of fixtures.
Yeah.
You know, in the Lens Sevilla game, it's interesting because, I mean, Diego Alonso still hasn't won a game apart from the Copa del Rey, and Lens are doing a little bit better. It's just that the after the Nantes fan was stabbed to death, remember, before the Nice game, all that debate about forbidding the away fans to come and travel, they did that really late this weekend about the Sevilla fans, which the Lens fans, and especially the Lens Ultras, are not happy with. So the Lens Ultras have said, you know what, the Sevilla fans have bought their tickets, their flights, their hotel, and now you don't want them to travel. So we're going to allow them to take our place in the ground. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Tuesday. It's the early kickoff.
Wow.
If the police will really be there in numbers and in force to prevent any Sevilla fans to get in. But the Lens fans had a statement on Sunday night saying we disagree with the Home Secretary decision to ban the Sevilla fans from travelling. So they can take our place in the stadium, but they should be there, and we will show everyone that you can have home and away fans without any trouble.
All right. Well done. Chapeau.
Yeah, chapeau Lens.
Chapeau Lens.
Indeed.
Excellent. Also on Tuesday, you got Inter taking on Real Sociedad at San Siro. That's for the group, essentially. It's to avoid the big guns in the last 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Inter 4-0 winners against Udinese at the weekend. Real Sociedad with a 2-1 win at Villarreal, I think. Is that right? 2-1?
3-0?
3-0, not so much.
Let me check that. 3-0, yeah.
3-0.
3-0, yeah.
VAR, probably. On Wednesday, Atletico Madrid. What did they do this weekend, Alvaro?
They beat Almeria
2-1.
2-1. Yeah.
That was.
I mean, they did the business in the first half, and
Yeah.
then they just kept the lead. It was easy for them, really.
Okay, well, they're going to be hosting Lazio, who didn't win. Although they did have a lovely goal from Zaccagni, didn't they?
That could have been the moment of the week, was just backheel goals.
Yeah.
Zaccagni.
Oh, Muriel.
Yeah, the
Muriel
Zaccagni in the
one.
Lazio Verona game, and then Muriel against Milan, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Definitely. A lot of time made for that. Anyway, Inter facing Real Sociedad Tuesday. Yeah. And then, we've gone on for that. Yeah, we certainly will. Then, what else on Wednesday? You got Red Star against City and RBL Leipzig against, who's that, Young Boys. Porto against Shakhtar. Both those teams can go through alongside Barcelona.
That's big.
Point is enough for Porto. And, Group F. Who's going to go through? So Dortmund are already through. They just need a point at home to Paris Saint-Germain to be certain of topping the group. Newcastle host Milan. And Newcastle, what does Newcastle need to do? Hang on a sec. Who knows this?
Well, they have to win.
I know. They need a win, and PSG dropping points if they want to go through.
So Newcastle need a win, and they need PSG to draw or lose.
Yeah, exactly.
And what do Milan need, Alvaro?
Same thing.
Okay, that's easy enough. All
But
right.
not a draw. A draw is not enough for Milan.
All
No,
right,
they
what needs to win?
both need to win, and PSG to drop points.
Yeah.
Okay. Newcastle have looked so fearsome at home, with the exception of Dortmund, of course. But that game against Milan at San Siro, Nick Pope's such a key component of that point for the Magpies, and not going to be there this Wednesday, of course.
Yeah, Nick Pope made 8 saves in that game. He was also excellent against PSG in the last round. So that is a big blow. You could say that was maybe some uncertain goalkeeping at the weekend in the defeat to Spurs. Milan, as you mentioned, they had, I think, 25 shots in that first game. It was a Milan that was in better form, fresher, had more enthusiasm about it than the one that is currently going to be facing Newcastle, because Raphael, who missed the big chance in that game by attempting a back heel against Newcastle at San Siro, he's still coming back from injury. He's expected to play some part against Newcastle on Wednesday. And they better hope so, because Leao is kind of the one-man tactic that this team has. Just give him the ball and hope he does something. They've got so many injuries, and these teams have got so much in common in that regard, because Newcastle have an extreme injury crisis, and Milan do as well. They've had nearly 30 separate injuries this season, which has meant that Fikayo Tomori is the only fit centre-back playing. Theo Hernandez has had to play as a centre-back as well, which means that in addition to losing Leao, if you lose Theo, the strongest part of that AC Milan team is just not there. So I think this should
Calabria's not injured, which is possibly the biggest issue.
Yeah, Calabria, who got sent off at the weekend in the defeat to Atalanta, which, as you allude to, is probably a blessing going forward in the league at least. But all these red cards that Milan keep getting, which, let's not forget, I mean, they forced Olivier Giroud to even go in goal against Genoa. It's made it really difficult for Pioli to rotate his team, which he's not particularly good at in the first place. So this game should be amazing, A, because of the atmosphere at St James's Park, B, because they both need to win. So, hopefully it'll be extraordinary watching on the Goals Show.
Newcastle looked very knackered yesterday. I saw them
on their knees.
Also against Everton midweek.
Yeah, and Guimaraes especially. I think that I've seen way better versions of Guimaraes than yesterday's. I think that he is not well surrounded right now. And, the good thing for Newcastle United is that Callum Wilson and Longstaff came back. They are not 100%, but at least those are two more options for Eddie Howe.
Indeed. Fair point. You can make a case for either of these teams winning, I guess, Newcastle or Milan, but it won't matter a jot if PSG win at the already qualified Borussia Dortmund, who themselves got beaten at the weekend. Did they not by RB Leipzig, Rapha?
It's a bad week for them because they got knocked out in the cup away to Stuttgart, which was always their most realistic chance of winning a trophy, especially with so many big teams already being out in the Bundesliga. And then they were a little bit lucky in the sense that Mats Hummels was sent off after 15 minutes, and everything that happened after that sort of had a bit of an asterisk to it. And they came back, they drew 1-1, at the end they nearly came back again to drew 3-3. So they showed kind of resilience. They played as well as a 10-man team can play against a very good Leipzig side. So in the end, it felt almost like it was almost kind of a draw. And it wasn't a sense of, we got beaten against our massive rivals for fourth spot. So the fact that Hummels was sent off helped them in a strange way to deal with the defeat better. But of course, it still leaves them fighting for that fourth spot, going into the winter break with only the Champions League left as the one competition they could win in theory, but they won't.
Okay.
And
how up for this game will they be? They need a point to top the group.
I think they'll be up for it because it's a big Champions League night. They're playing PSG. They don't really like PSG that much. There was that history with poor Erling Haaland being made fun of, by the mean Frenchies.
When it was Neymar, especially, I can blame the Brazilian guys.
Was it him?
Yeah, especially, yeah.
And they will pay for that. Hopefully.
What do you think, Jules?
It's a big if. You said if PSG win, it's a big if. They seem quite relaxed in Paris right now, to be fair. Even if Ousmane Dembélé is suspended, which is the big blow because, as we've seen since the start of the season, he's PSG's best player, even if it's not always the best end product with him or the best decision in the end. But he's still amazing with the pace and everything that he does. And I think Luis Enrique has built the patterns of play a lot on that right-hand side with Hakimi and Dembélé. So Dembélé not being there is a problem. They beat Nantes on Saturday night. They clearly could not care really too much about the game. It was a bad game because I think they were already in Dortmund in their heads. So we see. I mean, at least it's a good test in the sense that we will see if they can be if they can be. I was going to say if they can be men, but men in the sense that they have to take their responsibilities now. This is a game that you have to win, even if a draw could be enough. Even losing could be enough, to be fair, because if Milan and Newcastle draw, PSG, even by losing at Dortmund, are still through. Wow. So, there's a lot of scenario that could work out. But I think they want to go there and show that in a big night like that, for once, they don't crumble and they actually get something positive out of it.
Okay.
So we see.
Man is opposed to boys, you know.
Yeah, as in, like, you know, like, just take the responsibility. Their destiny is in their hands. So
boys to men.
The last time you lost in the Europa League was against us. I remember.
Yes.
That was not called the Europa League, was it though? In the UEFA Cup?
No, 2012 or something like that.
I can't even remember. 2012, we were not in the
You
Champions
can,
League.
can't you, Alvaro?
Yeah. All I'm saying is, it would
honestly,
present a really
we beat PSG in the Europa League
big
about 10 years
opportunity
ago.
to win a trophy.
It would, to be fair. No, I know it would. Although
In
we would
European
somehow
football.
manage to lose somewhere before the final.
Look at the good it did West Ham, for example.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, thank you for comparing.
West Ham,
West
of
Ham.
course, as Giorgio Chiellini said, would walk Serie A.
Did he say that?
He did. He said that in an interview to The Athletic, published by a colleague of mine, Elias.
Okay.
He said West Ham would easily win Serie A.
Easily win City A.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
I'd love to see that
Interesting
happen. It's
take.
the way you get, I don't know, Israel joining the Eurovision Song Contest. Wouldn't it be fun to have a club just dropped into a
Yeah.
Yeah, you
just
go,
like
just for
Yeah.
guest clubs.
Yeah,
I love
they
Athletic-
do that in the NFL, don't they? Where you have fixtures where you play
Yeah.
against a certain, you pay your own conference. but
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
it's
true.
like that. You know?
Oh, in the
Just
Copa America.
Swiss model of Champions League, would it have anything like that? Maybe a Europa League team dropping in for one round, something like that. Just spitballing here. Anyway, there is Europa League on Thursday, isn't there? Don't forget. Join us for the Europa League on Thursday.
Mhm.
And if you do forget, Rapha and I will be there at 10:30 to round up all the bits that you might have not quite
Forgotten
made
about.
it to watching. Good. Key round of games in the Europa
Of course.
Conference League.
Of course.
Match day 6. All right. Well, there you go. We don't know what's going to happen midweek, but we're looking forward to it. I think that's the conclusion I draw. Next up, time for that long-awaited Bundesliga chat, Raph, some of which we've already had. Bayern going to the Frankfurters and having the worst time of it there. 5-1. Yikes. We discussed this game in some depth already, Raph. We haven't mentioned Harry Kane though yet. He struck a disconsolate figure there in his sodden shirt.
Yeah, I mean, Frankfurt was sizzling,
Nice.
but Harry Kane was
Not a sausage.
had one chance,
Yeah.
which he missed,
Yeah.
and otherwise was pretty lonely up front.
I mean, tradition requires me to say that the Frankfurters were on a roll. Anyway, there you go. It leaves Bayern 4 points behind the Bundesliga leaders by Leverkusen. Well, the Bayern do have a game in hand. Leverkusen themselves dropping points. They drew 1-1 with that Stuttgart team who you were mentioning.
Yeah, Stuttgart in the first half were outstanding.
Really good.
Really, really good. They were all over Leverkusen, and they took the lead, but Leverkusen came back pretty strongly, and it was probably, as most people think, best game of the season so far in
Really?
Bundesliga. Not in terms of goals and necessarily entertainment. We've seen more goalier. We've seen goalier games, but
You can say more. It's still not going to work. You know?
Doesn't exist.
not work.
goaliest. Do you like that?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
exist.
fine.
It's a Jimboism I'm using.
No, that's fine. But there's no point going back to take them more out because
No, because
that's
it's
not
either
correct.
goalier or more. You cannot
Yeah.
have two. Anyway,
apparently you can.
there have been games with more goals, James,
Oh yeah.
but the quality of the football on show, I think, was the highest we've seen so far.
Were Leverkusen lucky to get out of there with a point?
Well, I don't know. On the balance of the whole 90 minutes, I don't think so,
No?
because they shaded the second half. But yeah, Stuttgart had the momentum, and if they'd taken more of their chances in the first half, then it would have been a different story. But as it is, Leverkusen's still unbeaten. 21 games in. I mean, that is
something.
pretty amazing. And it's not that many draws either, so there's real substance there.
The only team in the
three
Big Five leagues.
Yeah.
Still unbeaten.
Indeed, next weekend we'll see they and Bayern Munich exchanging dance partners, as it were. It'll be Leverkusen who take on Frankfurt, while Bayern have Stuttgart. It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I went to see Granit Xhaka on Friday in
Okay.
Leverkusen, and watch out for a big interview with him. So
Okay. Because that's something that when people watch Leverkusen, they go, oh, Granit Xhaka's there. And they're doing really, really well.
yeah,
He's been a huge success.
huge success, huge success. He's one of the characters in the team. Always on the pitch, always playing, always delivering. Plays in a slightly deeper position, more of a 6 than an 8, as he did recently with Arteta's Arsenal. But yeah, super influential, top professional, and exactly the kind of player that brings sort of the maturity and the hard-nosed kind of winning mentality that a team like Leverkusen sometimes have lacked in the past when they've had a lot of interesting young players, but as a unit it didn't work quite as well. I think he added a lot to the mix.
All right, looking forward to reading that interview. Rapha, when's that up? Sometime. What about Dortmund? We did them. Yeah. Let's talk about Union then. Their first victory since August, Rapha.
Finally. Nenad Bjelica, the new manager who was already in charge in the Champions League, got his first win, Union's first win in ages. They were lucky because they were playing Borussia Mönchengladbach. Gladbach, who always seem to do badly against the bottom team on the table. I don't know why. Maybe they take them too lightly. This is a Gladbach team that won in the week against Wolfsburg to qualify for the last 8 in the German Cup, and will be one of the favourites because Stuttgart and Leverkusen meet each other. And apart from Gladbach, it's only second division and 1/3 division team left.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
All right, in the meantime, in the Bundesliga, Union have leapt up to 15th, so above even the relegation playoff spot, and they have a game in hand that snowed off.
Yeah, it was
fixture.
a huge 3 points. Huge 3 points for them. They're still only on 10, which is not a lot.
No.
But I think a lot of belief would have come back. And good timing as well with that key Champions League game coming up that can still deliver European football.
Absolutely. If they beat Real Madrid at the Olympiastadion, Europa League
game
could be theirs.
I mean, if you told people a few years ago that it'd be Union hosting Real Madrid in the Champions League, they would just
tied you to a stake and lit them
You're
out.
totally nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
No Bonucci, maybe,
Oh, no.
in that win.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly.
I'm just saying.
What a buy he's been.
Here we go. Let's move on to La Liga. Woo! The sweet sound of the Catalan derby there. Scoreline Barcelona 2, Girona, 4. We've been talking, Alvaro, about what they're doing up there at the top of the table and saying maybe easy fixtures. This was the big test. Certainly sounds like they passed it.
They passed it. I mean, they dropped points against Real Madrid because they lost, and then against Real Sociedad and Athletic Club Bilbao because they drew against them. They beat Barcelona, and generally speaking, they've been fantastic. I said before, 41 points out of 48. I mean, this is an average that nobody could have ever dreamt of at Girona. They've been doing very well this season. I think that the temptation would be to criticize Barcelona and to say that they weren't good enough or whatever, but I think that Barcelona didn't have any problem with the attitude. I think Barcelona tried to attack as well. At some spells of the game, they were good, but Girona was way better.
Yeah,
really.
Barcelona had twice as many shots as Girona.
There you go.
Yeah,
they tried, but Girona dominated, because domination sometimes is not about having possession. It's also about being comfortable in the game because the game is being played the way you want. Then I think that Barcelona could never understand the kamikaze runs of Miguel Gutiérrez, the left back. He was basically using his channel to produce many shots in the first half. He scored 1 goal. No one chased him properly. I think that they knew how to keep the ball. They played from the back when needed. They played long balls when needed as well. One of the goals, Chigankov's one, came like this. And they profited as well. Very bad individual errors of Barcelona's defense. I think that Jules Koundé was a softie in that game. For every duel, you could feel that he didn't go there with the needed energy. Christensen as well in one of the defensive actions that led to one of Girona's goals wasn't good enough. But generally speaking, I think Girona had a very composed win against Barcelona. It's true that Barcelona had Lewandowski scored when the scoreline was still open pretty much at the end of the game. They would have gotten maybe a point, but it would have been undeserved. I think that Girona was better, and they played with maturity. And this was one of the biggest.
That's the phrase. Yeah.
This was a massive stalemate or whatever it's called. Yeah, it was a proper a win with authority.
Yeah.
A win with authority. In Spanish you would say, and this sounds terrible nowadays, una victoria de pelo en pecho, a hairy chest win. You know, you could say something like that. We can chop this off if you like.
No.
You said Sigankov's goal. It didn't. You mean Dovbyk?
Dovbyk. Sorry, no, that's true. Dovbyk. Yeah. A striker that he's been doing very well for Girona, by the way. And Sigankov plays on the right. His connection with Savinho on the right is phenomenal. But on the left, with Miguel Gutiérrez playing over there, he's creating out of football too. And honestly, Girona doesn't have any weak points right now. And the best thing about them is that, again, they belong to the Manchester City group. Manchester City group has given them the structure, some workflow, some protocols about how to do things and all that. It's very good to be professionalized to that level. But also Girona has done their own recruitment, and they have brought players that nobody probably had believed in. Daley Blind last season in Bayern, it looked like, it was pretty much it for Daley Blind. Gazzaniga, he played in the Premier League, but he didn't play much. Alex Garcia, again, he was on loan in Romania. I mean, these kind of players, they are stepping up. And they are Eric Garcia, another guy who became a little bit of a meme in Spain because he came from Manchester City. He wasn't good for Barcelona. Sometimes he became a little bit quintessentially the problem, or he represented some of the problems of Barcelona. He was too light, he wasn't defending well, even though he knew how to play from the back. Eric Garcia has become a really good defender at Girona as well. And Eric Garcia, for that song yesterday after the football game, he said, I watched Girona last season and I was thinking to myself that if I didn't stay at Barcelona, I wouldn't mind playing here. Ooh. So even players know that Girona are doing things in a certain way that are very attractive for footballers. Footballers want to play for Girona too, because they know that under Michel, you're going to shine, and the manager Michel is going to get the best out of you.
Very nice, Raph.
Does Robert Lewandowski encapsulate the problems that Barcelona have at the moment?
I would say that Robert Lewandowski is not being very clinical this season. A couple of weeks ago I said that he wasn't getting enough supply, but it wasn't the case against Girona. Against Girona he had his chances, he scored one, he didn't score another one. But I don't like what Robert Lewandowski is doing sometimes, which is blaming his own teammates for not getting passes from them. He did it to Lamine Yamal 3 weeks ago, and that didn't look good. It's very easy to have a go at a 16-year-old boy. And yesterday with Fermin, he had a very similar one as well. Well, Lamine Yamal could tell Lewandowski today, look, maybe 3 weeks ago I didn't pass you the ball the way you wanted, but yesterday
that he missed,
but yesterday I passed you the ball the way you wanted, and yet you didn't score. I'm not gonna blame Lewandowski, because I know that in the future he's gonna end up scoring goals in important games, but I would say that his contribution, if he doesn't score, is not that big. And sometimes you can really tell that he's a bit rigid. He gets the ball outside of the box, it takes him some time to turn, his 1-2s with the rest of the players is not accurate enough. Work to do for Robert Lewandowski, definitely, and his salary is going upwards year after year. It's getting upgraded.
It's a great deal for Barcelona.
Yeah, probably it's pretty painful for Joan Laporta, especially for the president to see that, but he signed that contract.
Yeah, he did. It's only the 4th time in the last 2 decades that someone scored 4 goals away at Barcelona. So well done, Girona. Barcelona dropped to 4th place. Girona 2 points clear at the top now. Real Madrid, who were level with them, getting held by Betis away in Seville.
Good game. I think Real Madrid played okay.
Jude Bellingham with their goal, but what an equaliser.
It's a beautiful one. I mean, that was composure. I mean, Jude Bellingham, he's destroying La Liga on his own, really. He's finding all the pockets, all the spaces to shine, and he did score again. He's in the list to play against Union Berlin too. I thought that maybe he was going to be rested because, his shoulder issue and all that, even though I don't know if his shoulder issue will get fixed with rest. Maybe he needs something else, that's for sure. But I think Real Madrid didn't perhaps play with the needed level of intensity at some point. I think, for example, a player like Fede Valverde, who was a little bit quiet the other day at Benito Villamarín, if Fede Valverde, for example, doesn't play 100%, he's just a mundane footballer, all due respect. If he plays 100%, he's a fantastic midfielder. So I think Real Madrid was missing a little bit of that. And also, if Betis has a player like Ruibal, who gets the ball in that corner of the pitch, in that area of the pitch, and puts it there, beating Lunin, there's very little you can do. Betis had even a chance to win the game because Isco hit the post pretty much at the end of the second half. So, I think that 0-0 or 1-1 the scoreline, sorry, it's all in all, if you check who had the chances and what happened during the game, I would say that Betis and Real Madrid can be happy with the point.
Okay, Real Madrid in second place, as I mentioned. Behind them, 5 points further back, but with the game in hand, are Atletico Madrid, who got the win against Almeria. Talk about Bayern Leverkusen being the only unbeaten side left in the top 5 leagues. Only 3 teams in the top 5 leagues around Europe have won all of their home games so far this season. One,
Aston Villa.
Yeah, that's one. Then Atletico Madrid are another, and the other Liverpool. You remember when Borussia Dortmund had that incredible record of no, those days are long gone, right?
The best team in Europe.
Best points per game in the top 5.
Yeah, and Atletico, there is a player who is pivotal for them. Every time Atletico has been fighting for titles or getting to the end of the tournaments in the last 4 years, all that has coincided with the best form of Llorente.
Okay.
I think that Llorente was instrumental when Atletico won the title in 2021, and he's playing a lot of games. Sometimes Marcos Llorente gets injuries, even though he's a fitness-obsessed man, he picks many injuries. I mean, his muscular injuries last season were a real problem for Atletico de Madrid, but he's giving the right intensity to Atletico on the right channel. He's playing pretty much every game, and I think that he's probably the unsung hero this season for Atletico, even though Antoine Griezmann and Alvaro Morata on a different level. The goal of Morata the other day was astonishing.
Very un-Moratian.
Very un-Moratian, yeah, because he in front of the goalkeeper, he had the composure to do that.
Usually when he has to think, he misses. And this time he thought he did well and he scored.
Yeah. Amazing.
No, Alvaro Morata.
It was against Almeria, and more top 5 stats now. They are the only team in Europe's top 5 leagues yet to win a game. Almeria. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I was reading on The Sweeper. I like to keep track of the more niche competitions via The Sweeper. That PSV Eindhoven are now the only one of the 734 top flight clubs across UEFA's 55 nations with a perfect record domestically.
It's true.
It's Bosch ball.
This comes after Virtus of San Marino, who had been making a perfect start in the long and complicated San Marino league. Arduous.
Competitive.
Yeah. They dropped points in a loss to Cosmos. Not sure if that's a derby, but I'm trying to get you.
Intergalactic.
Could be.
Probably a derby, yeah. Anyway, the other news is that Granada Athletic was suspended in the 17th minute with Athletic a goal up because a fan had a cardiac arrest and died.
Passed away, yeah. He was being treated already by the time Unai Simon, Athletic Club Bilbao goalkeeper, told the refereeing team that something was happening in the stands. So the doctors from Athletic Club Bilbao and Granada went there, tried to help, but it was too late. So the game is going to be replayed on Monday. Okay. Granada wanted, Athletic Club Bilbao wanted that to happen because they were already in Granada, and because it makes a lot of sense, really. But Granada wanted to wait a little bit more. But the truth is that all the TV cameras, all the TV setup was there already.
Okay. So it's actually today, though.
Everyone was there, yeah. So it's gonna be on Monday, yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up, Serie A.
Or B.
All right. Good. Jules, do you want to do Liga first? Just and then we're...
Yeah, if you want, you can finish with Serie B.
Finish with Serie B. Yes. All right. Back a bit, everyone. Liga. Top 3 or 1, I think. Yeah. PSG beat Nantes. Nice beat Reims.
Yeah.
And Monaco won at Rennes. Oh, and Marseille.
Marseille, yeah.
They're creeping up that table.
They are,
4-2 against Lorient.
Will Steele and Reims were not happy with Farioli.
Yeah. He said he wanted to hit him.
Yeah, because they were... Yeah. So first, I think Will Steele was really annoyed. He said live on television, he said, this game really broke my balls. Sorry, but I just repeated, you know what he says. Me casse les couilles, he said.
How is his French?
Amazing.
Is it?
There's no accent, neither English accent or Belgian accent, nothing.
And the way he switches between the two is
it's
really
remarkable.
Yeah.
He said the game was bad for most of it, really, until the first goal, and then you had 3 goals in succession pretty much. And then, when Nice scored their winning goal late, after it was 1-1, the way Faioli celebrated on the bench. I mean, all those Italians, you know Italians, that really annoyed him. And he said, when you take the mickey like this, I really want to punch you. He said, not you as in Faioli, but, want to punch someone, really. And Faioli and he said, listen, we didn't mean anything. Sorry, like that kind of stuff. But it's
sorry, but not sorry.
Yeah, and it's unusual to have a post-match interview. It was great to have Will still saying it like he felt it.
What about Marseille, Jules? So Aubameyang, who we thought was a bit of a dud for them.
Slow start. 10
goal involvements in the last 4 games.
Yeah, 7 goals scored, 4 plus the assist. You're right, Jimbo. Great win away at Lorient, although Reno was not happy after the game because they were 3-0 up, and then 3-1, then 4-1 up, then 4-2. Benjamin Mendy actually scoring the second goal for Lorient, and Gattuso was really cross after the game. He said, I was not happy. I told them first half great, that's what great teams do. Second half, no, and I know what I'm talking about because
sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Exactly. He said, because I was in a Champions League final where we were 3-0 up, and then obviously we lost. That's why he talked about it. And he said, and I didn't like how Marseille just kind of switched off after halftime. It was still okay because they won and they were really good, and they're climbing up that table and they're on a roll, and he's very happy, and he changed the team to a back 3. That works really well. But yeah, it was funny again, his post-match press conference and interviews when he said no, I told them I was not happy, and I warned them at halftime and they still did it. So I think they went through the hairdryer treatment again.
All right, the growler.
The win. Yeah,
Aubameyang was a kid at Milan when Gattuso was there.
Of course, they know each other, and Auba still speaks a bit of Italian as well, so that would help. Yeah.
I have to say about Auba very quickly. I think his time at Barcelona
underrated
can be. Yeah, it cannot be underrated.
Don't be too kind.
No, honestly, he scored 11 goals in half a season for Barcelona, and he helped them beat Real Madrid at Bernabeu 4-0. I think that he was a better fit than Robert Lewandowski profile-wise. I'm not saying that he's better than Lewandowski, but Barcelona probably would be benefiting a lot from having a striker who could actually run a lot.
There you go.
Auba.
Marseille have climbed to 6th. They are 4 points behind Lille in the last Champions League spot. Actually, that's not true. Monaco are the top 3, isn't it? Top 3.
Yeah.
So a little bit further away. But there they are, the 6th. Three straight victories for Gennaro Gattuso's side. Lyon, meantime, down at the bottom of the table, still in last place. 3 points from safety now. But what a win for Pierre Sage.
Yeah, Pierre Sage, the interim coach, that I think will get the job until the end of the year now.
Okay.
They will take their time and see. He might get it until the end of the season, stone-wise.
But James is tickled by what his name.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I know.
Stone-wise. Really good, although Toulouse missed a pen. But for the leaders in that Lyon team, Lacazette, Tolisso, Lopez, haven't been good at all this season. And for Lacazette especially, Lopez saved the penalty. To have that kind of performance was good. We even saw Jean-Michel Aulas at the stadium with John Textor, as in friends again, despite all the arguments from the past. This time they were all like that unity, because it was urgent for them to
fraternité.
Yeah, to actually put a good performance in. So well done. The only problem I would say, on Friday they go away at Monaco, and they could get spanked again. So at least they won, so they bought themselves a little bit of time and just a bit of peace and breathing space. But going away at Monaco on Friday is going to be very difficult for a team that is still not very good, despite the Lacazette hat-trick and the win.
Okay. On the subject of Will Still, just returning to Reims, is there any truth to these stories of him going to Sunderland? You heard anything about that? I know that he was linked to them, really? But that he was very happy. He was very happy in Reims. He wanted to stay. A strange move. Yeah, and I think they can. Obviously, the aim is for them to try to finish in the European positions, not the Champions League, but certainly in the Conference League, maybe. They're level with Marseille on points. Yeah, exactly. So they're having a really good season. Sunderland's president, I think, is the youngest president or chairman in UK parlance in European football. It's Kirill Louis Dreyfus. Yeah, so the son of Margarita and Robert, who so was the former Marseille owners. Exactly. Yeah, so he still follows Ligue 1 very well. And talking about managers, just to finish, and French managers in this case, well done to Columbus Crew, who won the MLS Cup with a French manager. It's really rare that we have a good one, so I have to mention him, Wilfried Nancy, who not just have won the MLS Cup, but also played great football. Even Giorgio Chiellini, who played his last game probably of his career in that final that they lost with Los Angeles.
applauded the style of football and from Wilfried. So well done to him.
How would Columbus Crew do in Liga?
Well, they would walk the league like West Ham would do in Italy.
No,
Let's go to Serie B.
What do you make of Columbus Crew?
I have to say, I follow them, but not that closely through the MLS season. But they played the best football in MLS without a doubt. I love his ideas. He was obviously Remy Gard's assistant at Montreal, and then Thierry's assistant at Montreal as well. But now on his own, he did an amazing job. So I really hope that not just in France, but in Europe, if he wants to come back at some point, there are teams following him because he's very, very promising.
Very good. Anything else, Jules?
All good for me.
All right. Serie A then, next, with a bit of Juve Napoli. Woo! Sunday evening. Juventus 1, Napoli 0. Classic Max Allegri's scoreline there. Classic goal scorer as well. It's Federico Gatti again, James.
Yeah, Gatti goal, as they're beginning to call him. Yeah, what a cult hero he's becoming, because is a guy who was, when he was like 17, 18, was a kind of manual labourer. He was working on building sites around Piedmont. So, some throwback to kind of Moreno Torricelli, the former joiner, who got a chance to play for Juventus on the back of a good performance against them in pre-season for an amateur team. But Gatti, who was signed, from Frosinone, maybe 2 years ago, and then was left there on loan. He's basically the guy who's had to come in and replace Chiellini. And you mentioned 1-0 being a classic Allegri scoreline. This team is all about the defence, because it's keeping all these clean sheets. It's sort of not afraid or ashamed to defend in its own penalty area. And the guys getting the goals are the defenders, because Gatti got the stoppage time winner against Monza the week before. Monza had equalised in the 90th minute, and then Gatti pops up. He scores again. He's got 3 goals for the season. Vlahovic has got 4. Chiesa's got 4. These guys keep coming up with big goals. Rugani and Bremer against Cagliari. Cambiaso keeps putting these crosses in. It's been a bit of a revelation for Juventus this season. They were top on Friday night. Inter were unfazed by that, as we'll probably get to. But Juventus aren't going away. And I do think, last year they showed that they could go on runs, not just winning runs, but runs where they kept lots of clean sheets. And those runs were kind of disrupted either by, the World Cup or the Italian Football Federation deciding to give them take points deductions away, and then put them back. And I think that has given this team a resilience that will serve them in good stead, as will not playing in Europe this season. So, pretty good. Juventus put out a video after the game of Allegri coming into the dressing room afterwards, and you just saw what a good atmosphere there is. Gatti kind of slapping Allegri on his backside, and Allegri's trying to say, look, our objective this season is just to get in the top 4 again, be back in the Champions League. But his players keep coming out and saying, no,
we have a dream.
We have a dream.
Right. Current champions Napoli beaten in this game. They had their chances though, particularly Kvaratskhelia. Oh my word!
Why is he taking? So he loves a control from the outside of his right foot. I really believe that in that moment when the ball comes from Osimhen from the right hand side, he should not have controlled the ball like that. And then the ball goes further a bit, and Chesney comes out and he dinks it over the bar. But control it with the inside of your right, even with the studs or left foot.
I suppose the lesson from this game is that Juventus, their one defeat this season came away in Reggio Emilia against Sassuolo, where they made a couple of really comical mistakes. So there's that Armand Loriente shot from outside the box, which Szczesny fumbles and goes in. And then there's the Gatti own goal. And since then, these two guys, Szczesny and Gatti, have been really, really good. Szczesny made a huge save at 0-0 on Giroud in the 1-0 win away to Milan at San Siro. And this was a huge save on Kvaratskhelia. Di Lorenzo had a miss as well. It's unfortunate for Napoli that Kvaratskhelia that he didn't take that chance, because that was the one time that the Juventus defence was all over the place. So, yeah, I mean, we mentioned Napoli having a really tough start to life under Mazzarri, the fixtures being really difficult. They've been good in first halves of those games. They look to be improving on the team that they were under Rudy Garcia, but obviously they're just not getting results.
They're home to, Braga midweek and then Cagliari at the weekend with another former Napoli manager, Claudio Ranieri, at the helm of them. And then they got Frosinone, Revelations Frosinone, and then they got Derby del Sole against Roma just before Christmas. Exciting. Juve, according to Gazzetta dello Sport, will be getting Calvin Phillips as a Christmas present from Pep. That was literally the headline on today's. We'll see about that, I guess. Do you want to talk about Atalanta Milan, though?
Yeah. Great game. Atalanta, they needed a 94th minute winner, and what a winner it was, with that back heel from Muriel. Muriel, who became the all-time top-scoring substitute in the history of Serie A.
Really?
Yeah, with that goal. But to be honest, Atalanta should have won that game by maybe 4-5-2.
Which sitter that was missed was worse, Kvaratskhelia or Charles de Ketelaer's?
I think de Ketelaer's, because it's closer range.
Yeah.
And he doesn't hit the target.
Yeah.
And but de Ketelaer was probably the man of the match with Lookman. He was, particularly in the second half when he changed position. He's the player who puts the ball in for Lookman's second. Lookman is in great form at the moment.
Two goals in this game. Do you think de Ketelaer was feeling the occasion because against his parent club, where he'd been regarded as a colossal disappointment?
I thought it was kind of quite interesting. So Maldini had given an interview in the week before for La Repubblica where he was like, Charles, 21, a lot of pressure. A lot of guys come to Milan, and in their first year they find it too much. I would have stood by him. And then there was an article in the same newspaper on the day of the game, which was there was quite a lot of artistic license in this article, which described Charles as being a hitman that had been given a hit by Paolo Maldini to go and strike against his old club. Which was a bit much, and he had two opportunities in the first 15 minutes. I mean, people forget the first one, which again is right in front of goal. But he after the game, in good Italian actually, said that it took him maybe 15 minutes to get the miss out of his head.
Right.
And to be honest, I mean, he had another effort which was pulled back for a foul on Theo Hernandez, where he was 1-on-1 with Maignan. But it was a good performance.
It's a good game.
Atalanta were really good. And I mean, Lookman, they put a lot of money into the front three at Atalanta in the summer. They signed Scamacca from West Ham. They signed El Bilal Touré, yet to play for them, for a lot of money. And they've got Charles de Ketelaer, of course. But Lookman continues. I mean, in terms of the money that they've had to reinvest from Højlund, Lookman was obviously already there last year and has been very good.
Okay. Jovic scoring for Milan, that's now 2-2 for him, which could be key ahead of that trip to St James's. And Maignan as well, even though they shipped 3 goals, he looked good after 1 or 2 wobbles of late. Yeah.
I mean, he's been saving them. I mean, obviously he couldn't save them from dropping all the points in this game, but like against Fiorentina, where they were undeserved winners, 1-0, he made that save from Mandragora with his face in stoppage time. Milan in a lot of trouble really, because all of these injuries that they have are kind of making. We've seen Pioli have this Houdini-esque knack for escapology whenever things have started to go wrong. Even in the spring of this year when they lost 5-2 to Sassuolo and they had to change to a back three to just stabilise things, they didn't have the injury crisis that they do now. And the injury crisis is so deep, you do wonder, like, how does he pull himself out of this?
And they do have a bit of a margin over the teams outside the Champions League positions, but there's so many that are clustered there: Roma, Bologna, Fiorentina.
Well, they're closer to 10th than they are to Inter. Inter and Juventus are running away with it, but Milan's idea when they sold Tonali and reinvested all that money was that they wouldn't be anxious over qualifying for the Champions League this season in the way that they were last year, where on the pitch, Milan finished 5th. It was only Juventus' points deduction that meant that they qualified for the Champions League. So they didn't want that to happen again. And instead, they are 3rd, but it kind of it looks better because all the teams behind them are kind of stumbling. But at the same time, if they lose a couple of games, they could find themselves 10th.
Drawn into that, yeah. All right. Inter not stumbling, 4-0. They beat Udinese. All the usual favourites on the score sheet.
4 different players on the score sheet.
Yeah.
And wrapped things up really by half-time. They were 3-0 up. It's the kind of thing that Napoli used to do last season. Allowed them to rest, rotate players. Guys you haven't really seen this season, like Stefano Sensi coming on. So that's good in view of the game against Real Sociedad on Tuesday.
When he'll field 9 different players.
Like he always does.
He's got a new nickname, Inzaghi. Have you seen this?
The Demon of Piacenza.
Yeah, which
Why
Italy's really good at nicknames, and I think this is one of those social media nicknames which has been translated.
But also, why would you call, given that your rivals, your arch rivals and neighbours are the Diavoli?
Yeah, the devils or the demons. Apparently this came from the Inter-Juventus game a couple of weeks ago, where the ball goes out of play and Inzaghi he picks the ball up and he's holding it, ready for
it's someone's soul.
Is it
like Angel Heart?
And then Federico Chiesa, quite sort of petulantly, just takes it from him, and Inzaghi stares. And he's just fixed. His hand is still out as if the ball
empty.
is empty, and he just stares furiously.
Right.
And apparently that's where this demon of Piacenza has come from. But
okay.
It's not quite Pep Genesio.
Not quite Pep Genesio. Meanwhile, the demon of the Stadio Olimpico, Jose Mourinho. His Roma side, underwhelming once again, I'm going to say.
I agree. I watched that game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of things happening, I enjoyed it. But
okay, good. Amongst the things that were happening were Dybala putting in a perfect ball for Lukaku's header to open the scoring.
Then getting injured for the 3rd time.
Then missing a chance himself, then getting injured again. What is it this time?
I don't know. I haven't seen the scan, but I wouldn't see the scan anyway because I'm not privy to that kind of information. But they haven't given me.
It would be like hamstring. It would be like a muscular. It's always muscular.
I think it was a flexor on the same leg where he'd hurt his knee. And then his substitute, Serdar Azmoun, our favourite Iranian Messi, lover of horses.
Yeah, he's got 10.
He then got injured as well. And then Lukaku got sent off.
Yeah.
Mourinho, I thought Mourinho had got sent off, but he hadn't. He was busy giving a ball boy a piece of paper.
Yeah. He looks like a flyer. He looked like a flyer.
Fiorentina have equalised. Roma have gone down to 9 by now, no? Because you've already had
Lukaku red card is.
Who was the first? Zalewski, no? Who was the
Zalewski?
2 yellows,
right.
yeah.
Zalewski first, and then Lukaku, and so Roma finished with 9. So he gives the ball boy a note to give to Rui Patricio. What's the story?
Well, I mean, the ball boy is in the dugout with Mourinho. And then you think, what's he doing? Is he just sort of venting with the ball boy? But then the ball boy reappears behind the goal with this piece of paper.
For Rui Patricio, yeah.
And all it is just the positions for 2 substitutes to take on set pieces.
Which you'd think would be more information for, unless he's going to tell the substitutes where he stands.
Yeah, Patricio,
he gives them to Rui Patricio.
Okay.
Rui Patricio.
Was it performative, do you think? Or was that genuinely essential that Jose said that?
Have you ever seen Mourinho do anything just for show?
That's not
but Jose, obviously, his contract's up at the end of the year, and there's more and more kind of anxiety within Rome that he's not going to be around, and so he's been putting pressure on the club to sort of open these contract talks. And then there was this banner in the Curva. Did you see this? Which was one of the most sycophantic banners I've ever seen. It was saying our eyes are drunk with red and yellow,
right?
And something about their soul as well. And then it was Jose Mourinho, Romanista a vita. which is Romanista for
Wow.
life.
Yeah. Until his next
get your
job.
team to go and like get 1-1 draws against Servette.
Yeah.
That's the stuff of.
I mean, when did you have time to make that banner, you think?
Was that what was on the?
That was the ball boy's second job. Yeah.
Get them to say.
But James, I mean, you were in Rome when Roma won the league.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember Fabio Capello being this popular? I mean,
different time.
Yeah, different time.
It was a time of substance, not
Also, Mourinho is a cult, guys. Mourinho is a cult.
It is.
He creates his
What are
own.
you calling him?
A cult.
Sorry, right.
Yeah, he is.
But he
Come
didn't
on,
speak
at
after the
Santiago
game, right?
Bernabeu.
He didn't speak after the
You were
game.
right first time, though, but yeah. But yeah, no, 100%. Whereas Capello's that kind of prickly guy, which Mourinho is too. But
It's different. At Santiago Bernabeu, he also presented himself as the Robin Hood of the rich, in a way. He presented himself like the Robin Hood because Barcelona was, sponsored by UNICEF, and Barcelona had all the favors and all the good press and all that. But he was coaching Real Madrid, and they spent a lot of money for him. And he presented himself as a manager who was in charge of a smaller club. He is not a smaller club.
But it's sponsored by UNICEF. It's hardly kind of nation state.
They weren't sponsored by UNICEF, weren't they?
There was a name for free.
Barcelona were sponsored by UNICEF, and Jose Mourinho was
They
complaining.
didn't get money for it.
Well, the word is not sponsored. They had the label.
But I think, as I recall, his point was that they get favours as a result because nobody wants to.
And there's not an investigation. Not an investigation going on at the moment.
No,
about Barcelona. And,
but you will see no president defending Jose Mourinho more than Florentino did with Mourinho at the time.
True.
And he didn't get many more trophies than anybody else, but he created that connection with the ultras and with part of the fan base. It's what Mourinho does everywhere he goes.
Indeed.
We should quickly mention, Fiorentina. I feel quite bad for Fiorentina because they played well in some of these big games, and they deserve to win against Roma, even before they had the man advantage or two-man advantage. Yeah. Likewise, they deserve to get something against Milan, only for Mike Maignan face to get in the way. And yet they're still doing quite well, even though their league form has suffered. I think this is like their second best start to a season in the league over the last 15 years or something. And then Bologna up to 5th. We've mentioned Bologna as being another one of the revelations. And because of how tight it is between 3rd and 10th, there is a possibility that someone might do a Villa. Not win the league. Like Villa can still do that, but like in terms of like insert themselves into top 4, even in that top 7.
Well, Roma are in 4th place on 25 points. You've got Bologna, Napoli, Fiorentina, and Atalanta all within 2 points of each other, and Monza are only just slightly behind them as well. Result of the weekend. There you go. You wanted to mention Serie B again, James?
Yeah, just because every now and again we get asked about Samp and how is Samp getting on, because they were in the bottom 3 for a bit under Pirlo, and Pirlo was on the brink. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. They played against Lecco, who got promoted, and they played against them at the weekend at Marassi. They won that game. And it was remarkable for a couple of things. One, it was like Fabio Quagliarella's goodbye, and so there was sort of tears in his eyes as the Gradinata kind of bid him farewell. And then a guy from his town, Castellammare di Stabia, Sebastiano Esposito, who's part of this like incredible like football family. He's 21. He's been like this next big thing in Italian football for about 5 years without really doing all that much, and he scores 2 incredible goals, and he runs to the sideline afterwards and like he grabs Pirlo as though like, and he shakes him, and this guy's 21. He looks like he's still in school, and it looks like he's like attacking Pirlo.
Right. Does Pirlo still look cool through it?
He does. His hair, does not move. But yeah, it was just a big celebration.
Right.
But like if you watch the video, it's quite remarkable. It's like watching almost like Cassano just like kick off.
Yeah. Or Gattuso back in the day.
But it's all in good.
That's nice.
So yeah. But
Esposito. It's such an interesting surname, that one. But no, because a lot of people from Naples are called Esposito because it actually means born outside of wedlock. And if they didn't have if their parents weren't married, they were given the surname Esposito. I believe I'm right. So.
Right.
But he's one of 3 footballing brothers. They're all young,
Yes.
and he was seen as the most talented one because he came through Inter's academy, and then Inter sold him, capital gains, and all that sort of stuff. And then his brother is a sort of number 6 who plays for Spal and Spezia. But they went to the same soccer school in Naples as Gigio Donnarumma.
No.
So it's like, it's pretty good little thing they've got going on down there. But yeah, Sam's doing well, which is good,
You know who's doing well as well in Serie B? Cesc Fabregas.
Cesc Fabregas.
Yeah,
with Como.
Como. Yeah,
10
they're
points
third.
in 4 games.
Yeah, they beat Modena the weekend. Simone Verdi scored.
Yeah.
Modena.
Hot Cesc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I reckon that's enough Serie B roundup for 1 week.
Yeah.
We'll be back on Tuesday. Oh, Rapha, you're not going to be here. Where are you going to be?
Holiday.
You're going on holiday next week. Oh.
Look at the smile.
I know, he's so happy.
YouTube viewers, what's this?
So happy. He's probably going somewhere sunny as well.
Yeah, he probably is. All right, well, the rest of us are going to be here putting in the hours. Hey, we don't need to Bundesliga roundup next week. Woo!
And then they go on that big break, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They have a month off.
Good time.
That's why Rapha goes away, you see.
Yeah.
We review the Stuttgart Bayern ourselves.
You'll do that. Fantastic. Excellent. Well, have a great holiday, Rapha. We'll see you before that on the Goals Show and the Top Europa Highlight Show, 10:30 on Thursday. Do join us, please. Anyway, Jules, see you soon. Alvaro,
See you tomorrow.
James Horncastle, you, producer Charlie, Rachel in the booth. Bye, everyone. We'll see you soon. From all of us here, it's goodbye. The Totally Football Show podcast is available 3 times a week, bringing you all the football news you could reasonably be expected to care about. We've got views, we've got stats, we've got analysis, we've got some of the best football writers around, and the whole thing is absolutely free. So have a listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or all the usual places by clicking on the link below.